It's Playing Off the City, your sports news every Friday.
Welcome to Playing Off the City. Thanks for tuning in on this beautiful Friday in January. Happy New Year, guys. Hope you're having a great day. It's your host, Jake.
And Bakari, and we'll be covering your biggest stories in all sports, NBA, college basketball, NFL. We've got it all covered for you tonight, as per usual.
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Spotify at Playing Off the City. Jumping right into our first topic, the college football playoffs going on this year in 2020. In the first
2021.
round. 2020 run. My apologies.
Yeah.
So, in the first round, we had two matchups. We had Notre Dame going against Alabama. That was your 1-4. And then 2 and 3 would be Clemson and Ohio State. So, Bakari, how have you enjoyed the playoffs so far?
They've been all right. I didn't really watch the first game between the Alabama game, but I did watch a little bit of the Ohio State game. And, Ohio State played good. I mean, as you could tell by the score, it was like 49-28, I think. That was like the final score or something like that. It was a great game. Ohio State played a complete game from the start to the finish. I don't know, it was really a good game, and I just like to say it for all those people who are out there, because I know you guys are out there, that were saying that, I know we're going to get to this is going to go into it, but that Notre Dame didn't deserve it. I just like to point out that Clemson lost by more to Ohio State than Notre Dame lost by to Alabama. Just saying.
All right. Good thing to point out. That was just going to be my next topic. So what did you think? There's been lots of speculation about Notre Dame's credibility, and many people weren't very happy that they made it into the playoffs this year. So what did you think about that? I think we already kind of know, but...
I mean, yeah, like I was just saying, I mean, they're good. And, I mean, they lost by less to Alabama. And, I mean, we don't know who's going to win this game on Monday. But they lost by less to Alabama than Clemson lost. And no one's really talking about it. So, I don't know. It's just like sometimes, you kind of look at because this is it's the thing with college. It's just I kind of hate that every year. It's just the same, I understand.
Powerhouse teams?
Yeah, but it's exactly, it's always the top 4 teams, from the previous season that carry on to the next season. So, if they're not losing, it's really hard for any other team who also isn't losing to, get in there. You're going to have to hope that one of those teams, loses somewhere down the line. And especially in this current season that's going on, it was made a lot more difficult when a lot of the schedule was cut, so a lot of the games were cut, so most of these teams didn't really even lose a game, to be honest. And you could always make an argument for the 5 or 6 to really make it into the college football. So
yeah, something to think about. Yeah, for the basis of the argument that I've been hearing about Notre Dame not deserving to make it into the playoffs, obviously earlier this season they took on Clemson and they beat them in overtime, or was it double overtime? Either way,
yeah,
it was a hard fought game, and it was pretty evenly matched. But Clemson was down Trevor Lawrence, so they had a freshman quarterback, and they're also missing some defensive players. I'm pretty sure they're missing their middle linebacker, or one of their linebackers, who's their captain. Yeah. So that was kind of I saw many college football fans saying, well, when they played them again at full strength, they lost. So what would have happened if they would have had Trevor Lawrence first time around? So the basis for the argument, I see it. I don't think Notre Dame was a bad choice. I think they won 10 games, right? They only lost
did. They
once.
Went 10-2.
10-2, yeah. They only lost to them in Alabama, but they're not a bad choice. Another team that people would like to see get in this year, I think they were saying Texas A&M. They could have been a good choice. But I think it wasn't I don't think people are making I think they're over, they're being dramatic, in my opinion.
Yeah. The only thing I'm saying is, you could really make an argument for, Texas A&M. They went 9-1 in Oklahoma, who went 9-2. That's all I'm saying. But, who knows how they would have done compared to Notre Dame. So I mean, and going to your point that you were, I'm sure you were gonna bring up is if they should expand it to more teams, which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they should, even if it drags the season a little bit. So maybe now we're getting that final maybe in the end of January instead of the first or second Monday of January. I don't mind because I feel like it gives more athletes like time to like show their potential and what they're
Mm-hmm.
capable of to teams. Like when you look at like let's just say college basketball for example, you see college basketball they have March
Their March
Madness.
Madness.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So most of these guys they have the I think it starts with 64 teams, right? So they
Yeah.
have 64 like that round, the round of 32, Sweet 16, uh, Elite 8, Final 4 and then the championship. So they have like if you make it that far, you have like 6 games to really show like these NBA scouts you're able to make it. But like compared to only like 2 games that the
If you win your first one in
yeah,
the
and
football
that's if you win
playoffs.
your first one. Yeah, then you only have like 2 games to show. Like I know you can't really compare them necessarily, but I feel like if you expand it, you give more opportunity for these athletes to show what they're capable of, and more teams that are deserving to make it as well also will be able to participate in it.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, March Madness is good for basketball players. It's a proving ground. There's definitely been instances where players have made their name in that
Yeah,
March Madness. They had a really good tournament run, and then scouts started looking at them. So I think it'd be great if they expanded the college football playoffs. I think like it's a win-win-win all around. First, if you're the NCAA, all those bowl games that people don't want to watch, like who's except for like the 1 and 4 and the 2 and 3, which are currently the college football playoffs, who's going to tune into any other bowl games? So
or
if you
unless you're a supporter of the team.
and yeah, unless you're like Michigan fan, Florida, whatever. If you expand it to 8 teams, you get all that advertising again on a bigger stage because those games actually matter now because you're like there's something at stake. So the NCAA gets more profit from that. The players are happy because they get a better chance of making it to the college football playoffs. There's an extra 4 teams, so they feel like they're fighting for something more. And as a fan, every year, like you said, seeing the same teams, you see Alabama, you see Clemson, you see Notre
Ohio
Dame,
State.
Ohio State. It gets boring. You add in those 4 extra teams, you might get a team like Florida, Texas A&M, like you said, Oklahoma. It still might be similar, those top 8 teams, but you're just getting more football, and I think as a fan you like that. So all around the table, I think that'd be a really good idea.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Like I think that helps everyone out. And I mean, I'm sure at some point if they ever did decide to do that, the argument would be like, well, why can't we make it 16 teams? So on and so forth. But like, I think 8 teams is,
I think it's a
it's,
good number.
yeah, I think it's a good number. It's a pretty good like starting ground to like, because like even you look back at the year 2020, like the year that it was, like,
Yeah.
and we see how most of these athletes didn't get the chance to show their potential in March Madness. Um, that played a big role in the draft. I mean, in my opinion, like there's gonna be people that say like this so and so was a sleeper pick or so and so was this, but like the thing is, how much did you really watch of this person in college? Because
Hmm.
like you're not gonna go watch like I don't know, Marquette. Just
Yeah,
like their
games
regular
out of your
season. Yeah,
out
you're
of your
not gonna.
region unless
Right,
they're
you're
like
not gonna go watch them just because you want to watch them unless you support them. But like in March Madness, Marquette's one of those teams like that always, they play fairly well. Like, and what if there's a player there that shows off and gets picked in the draft? Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
it's
That's
just
how
like this year it didn't happen. My bad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's how teams like in college basketball, Gonzaga went from like a mid-major, just like some random low D1 school, to having like a solid reputation and name just because they perform well in the tournament every year as one of those lower seeds. So they started to build up that reputation, and now they're known as a good mid-major school. So I think, like you said, you'd be able to watch all those players at schools you wouldn't necessarily tune into on a regular basis.
Exactly, and it creates good matchups. I mean, it's why it's called March Madness because it's one game, and
Oh
you
yeah.
just gotta play your heart out for 40 minutes, and you'll have the chance to go on to the next round. I mean, everyone like the last March Madness we had back in 2019. Everyone was talking about how Duke was gonna win it, or everyone was making an argument for Duke or other teams. But then all of a sudden, the final was what? It was Texas A&M versus Virginia.
Um,
So
yeah,
nobody really. I mean, maybe you can make an argument for Virginia because I think they were the one seed, but other than like, no one really saw Texas A&M. No one really saw Auburn making it to the Final Four, and Auburn was only seconds away from making it to the final if it wasn't for that late foul on Kyle Guy.
yeah.
So it's 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 just I'm excited for it to come back this year. We'll get into
That
that in a few minutes though.
Yeah, definitely. So that's how expanding the college football playoffs would definitely add some dramatic tension to the college football scene and draw some good energy into the league.
Yeah.
So our last topic for college football, the championship obviously coming up this Monday. Justin Fields and Ohio State taking on Alabama, but the issue is
And
it's-
Heisman winner Devontae Smith just won the Heisman the other day.
he just won the Heisman.
Yeah,
I didn't know they confirmed that.
yeah, it was like 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh, okay. All right, but the issue is Ohio State has a lot of COVID cases as of right now, so the problem with that is they're not going to be the same team. Obviously, throughout the season, you've seen this Ohio State team not look as good due to having missing players from COVID, and so when we see how they are at full strength, beating that Clemson team by a fairly good amount, you see they can be a really good football team. But if they're not healthy, I think it'd just be a blowout. And like I was seeing on many of the sports talk shows, they're like, would Alabama even be proud of beating Ohio State? Yes, they're winning the college football championship, but it's a weakened Ohio State team. It's not even like you're playing the real thing. I don't know what you thought about that.
No, I mean, obviously, if I'm Alabama, I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just thinking of winning.
Yeah.
But, from an outsider's point of view, people are going to obviously be upset if a weakened Ohio State side takes on a healthy Alabama side and they end up winning. But if Ohio State wins, it makes it all the sweeter. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who wins the game because first we have to see who even wins the game to be like, well, yeah, now we can say, oh, because it's good. There's always going to be two sides to every story. If Ohio State wins the game, oh, Ohio State beat weakened Ohio State destroyed or just beat Alabama, and they're gonna just talk about that forever.
It's like a lose-lose for Alabama.
Exactly, but if Alabama wins, the excuse is gonna be, oh well, they beat a weakened Ohio State team, so no winners here for in terms of Alabama.
Yeah, definitely. I heard they were talking about postponing it, so I'd look out for that. I'm not sure what they're planning on doing in terms of COVID with the college football championship.
Exactly.
And that wraps up our college football segment. Stay with us after the break.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back from the break. Back here on Playing Off the City. You already know how we're doing. Right now we're talking about the NBA. It's been a crazy week. Not even only in the NBA, but in every, this week has just
In
been
the
a
world.
crazy week in the world. Unless you're like sleeping or you're
Under
just
a
not
rock?
you're under a rock. That's what I was trying to say. Or you're just not paying attention to the news at all. You'll know what's going on. COVID as well has been the NBA has been coming up a little bit in the NBA as well. Seth Curry was the latest person to test positive for it, so hopefully he gets better. And he's on the Sixers, so I don't know if they're gonna stop any Sixers games for now, but we'll
So-
just have to see how how the season plays out now, because we had that first one. Well, it's not the
Rockets
first
cases.
one, but yeah, it's like one of the more recent ones. So we'll just see how the NBA deals with it, like they've been dealing with it, and yeah, I mean, you can take it away.
Yeah, they don't have their bubble this time around, so it's kind of hard to know what the players are doing on their time off the job. I'm assuming they're trying their best to be safe. I don't think Seth Curry was being reckless. He probably just got it at the store or something, whatever. But yeah, as for the Sixers, what I heard is their last game was in New York. They played against the Knicks. Seth Curry found out on the bench that he tested positive for corona, so he had to go to the locker room, self isolate from the rest of the team. And as for their upcoming near future schedule, it sounds like they're like staying in New York. They're grounded for now. They were supposed to take off. I forgot who they're gonna play in their next series, but they're not gonna be playing any games anytime soon due to COVID. But as for like the overall of the NBA, it seems like COVID hasn't struck the league too hard this year. I think they're doing a great job to handle it. It's obviously not as easy as it was back in, when did they start the bubble? August? No, not August.
No, it was like July.
July?
Like they got there in early July because they had to do like all the practice and everything.
Yeah.
And then they had preseason. Well, not preseason, but those like friendly games,
warm up games. Yeah.
Yeah, warm up, however you want to say it.
So yeah, they obviously don't have the same restrictions, so it's going to be a little more difficult this time around. But I think they're handling it well, and I think they'll continue to have a safe season. And I think they're cooperating well with like every state's governor, because different counties have different rules. Like in Golden State, I'm pretty sure that area the case numbers are higher, so they've had to do a few things with like team meetings have to be online on Zoom. So it's a different year. It's the continuation of 2020, so
Yeah.
it's unique, but I think the NBA is handling it in a good fashion.
Oh yeah, for sure. The NBA is doing a great job. Shout out to them. Obviously, with everything going on, with NBA players, the NBA in general, it's really hard to like deal with it, and they've been doing a pretty good job thus far to just make sure they're keeping everything under control. I mean, you look at the COVID cases, how they've dealt with that ever since the start of the pandemic, how they're planning on treating it going forward, making sure that no other players get exposed to it, like as soon as they find out, or everything that's going on, in Washington D.C. right now with NBA, and like how that's affecting many NBA players. It's a crazy world out there right now. Crazy world.
Yeah, definitely. Something that's been going around to the league is many of the players discussed at the actions on January 6th of what happened at the Capitol building. We had that rally that turned into like a riot, and they stormed the Capitol building trying to stop the count of Congress votes of the Electoral College. So many players, your leaders around the league, LeBron James, Jaylen Brown was a leader of the BLM movement in the NBA. They've shown their disapproval of what's going on, and it's definitely shed some light on the issue, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's some tough times out there. It's sad. What we're really going through in American history. It's not really a good time for us with everything going on. Everything that happened last summer, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But last summer was just tough for a lot of people, and especially for NBA players mentally. Going through everything. Remembering stuff that's happened to them, and stuff like that isn't okay. And what happened the other day at the Capitol building wasn't okay either.
Nope.
But we're trying to move forward, but every time we move forward, like one step forward, it feels like we're taking two steps back lately.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I just hope that things really start looking up for the better in the near future. After this happens, hopefully like stuff starts to calm down from here. I mean, I don't want to like knock on wood or anything, but hopefully stuff like this starts to calm down and we start to see like a better outlook on things. Once stuff starts to change in the next few weeks, not only in the government but like all over the world. The vaccine's getting rolled out more to more people. You know, so hopefully that stuff just like we're all able to like continue to just keep a hold of it. I know it's just tough. I don't want to like say anything too crazy, but
No, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think COVID definitely like magnifies everything that's going on, puts it on a bigger stage. So emotions are high on all sides, and I don't know. I don't think what happened at the Capitol building was right, but it's just not been a great day in the history. But we'll definitely power through it. We're a resilient group of Americans.
Yeah,
I don't-
we'll get through it. We gotta realize that we're all in this together. We're all in
Yeah,
this fight
yeah.
together.
I was just gonna say that right now is the time where we gotta come together rather than try and divide with each other. I don't think after 2020 we need more division. We should try and unite as one.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I agree with that, and hopefully, more people start to see that, and we're able to move in a better direction.
Definitely. And on a lighter note than that, there's a team that will be possibly returning to Seattle. At once you had the Supersonics there, and then they decided to part ways and move to Oklahoma City. So fans there are stoked. I've heard they'd always had a great culture there in their arena. So what do you think about that?
I'm thinking it's interesting because I heard the same talk about expansion teams recently. I mean, I think if they brought one in Seattle, they'd have to bring one back somewhere else, right? Just to balance out the conferences.
Probably. It'd be interesting if they did like a Canadian team.
Yeah, didn't they have one in Vancouver before?
Yeah, the
something like
Grizzlies.
Yeah, so
They
Hopefully.
got the Raptors, but
yeah, they got the Raptors, but well, it's the Tampa Bay Raptors for now. But yeah, man, like that'll be exciting. I'm excited to see if we can get like two more franchises to come into the league. Maybe one in Seattle, maybe one in Vancouver. Bring back one of the old ones.
it
For old
definitely
time's sake.
it'd shake stuff up. I'd be interesting as more basketball.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking forward to it. You're looking forward to it. I don't know.
I don't know who isn't.
Yeah, I know exactly.
All right, well,
That
thanks for
was our- right.
thanks for sticking with us. A little miscommunication there, but that was our basketball segment. Bakari, you got anything else you want to say?
Nah, just thanks for tuning into this segment. We'll be right back with you for our next segment. Catch us back here.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Playing Off the City. It's your boy Jake.
And Bakari.
And we're here with you with some football news. Exciting weekend in the NFL. It's wild card weekend, but with a twist. We got 6 games this weekend, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. I'm excited. I know most of you are probably excited. Bakari, what you looking
I'm
forward
excited
to?
too. I'm looking forward to these games. I mean, it's a new format this year that's taking place. We have 2 more teams coming in.
Interesting.
Very. And so a lot of teams are going to be kicking off their runs, hopeful runs to the Super Bowl. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see who wins this weekend, who doesn't win. It's going to be a great weekend of football. I can't even tell you more. You're just going to have to tune in and watch it.
put it bluntly, it's just a great weekend for football. I mean, I'm excited. There's a lot of good games up, a lot of good matchups going on. Like you said, there's going to be the 6 games opposed to the 4 because there's 7 teams from each conference that have made the playoffs as opposed to 6. So the more the merrier, more games. Is there any game in particular you like to see? In the AFC, you got the Bills versus the Colts, the Ravens versus the Titans, Steelers, Browns. NFC would be who's the 2?
It's the Colts versus the Bills, the Rams, Seahawks, and the Bucks versus the Washington football team.
Okay.
And I mean, if I'm looking out for a game this weekend, I'm looking for the Steelers versus the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's probably, at least for me, that's the most exciting game. I know there's a few more exciting games, but I feel like that's the marquee game this Sunday. It's going to be the one that ends the, caps off the wild card weekend. And there's been a lot of trash talking between the two sides. You know, they don't really like each other. It's been established for a long time now. But,
yeah.
You know, we have Mr. Corvette on one side. And
TikTok boy.
Yeah, and so we have them on one side, and then you have Baker Mayfield and the other dudes on the other side. So I'm excited to see how it turns out because it's 2 great teams that are going to go and face each other this upcoming weekend, and we just have to see who wins.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I'm turning over to... No, you were in the AFC. Another AFC matchup that I like is the Ravens versus the Titans. Obviously, last year, that was the matchup when Baltimore was the 1. And I think... And the Titans were the 6 because they beat the Patriots and then they went on to beat the Ravens. So I'm really looking forward to that one personally, just because in the last few weeks, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have been turning up. They're on they ended the season on a 5-game winning streak. Earlier in the season, they've been shaky, but I mean, they really haven't been playing bad at all. Like, there's been no negatives. They've been looking really fluid, so I think they're on a roll and they could be dangerous this playoff. So I want to see how they play.
Yeah, me too. I'm interested to see how they play, and you know, as like the consistency part with the Ravens is, I mean, they've had a lot of like things happen to them this season in terms of like injuries, COVID, stuff like that. That's kept them out like for a few games here and there, so they haven't really been full strength. But that's a good game to tune into because we have to see if we have to see if Lamar Jackson can finally get over that hump and finally win his first playoff game. I mean, he's made it like I think all 3 years in his career, or 4 years. But
3,
that
I
big
think.
hump that, yeah, 3, yeah. So
Yeah.
that big hump that he's had, he needs. I mean, this is his time to show that, you know, he can get over it, and the Titans are a great test.
It turns him from a great quarterback to like all pro, all league, whatever you want to call it. It just puts him up another notch, because if you want to be one of those great quarterback, one of those stellar quarterbacks in the league, you gotta win in the playoffs. The regular season doesn't mean anything unless you win some playoff games. It doesn't matter if he doesn't go all the way, whatever, but you still gotta perform in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think just for his self-esteem, not that probably really even bothers him, but like just for himself, I think that getting over that hump of actually winning your first playoff game will just give him a lot of like relief and satisfaction, knowing that he's finally like overcome that feat. You know,
The
what
dry
I mean?
spell,
Yeah, that dry spell. I mean, and I mean that's what we're all looking forward to. Like, I mean, I hope he does it because I think he's destined to at least win maybe 1 or 2 Super Bowls in his career if he stays healthy. So, I mean, obviously, you know, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC, like with the Titans, for example. You know, that's only one. There's the Steelers, Chiefs, of course.
Bills.
You know, they're gonna be good for a minute. Bills, exactly. So, it all depends. It all depends.
There's good competition, but their offense can be really explosive on any night. So they're definitely not an easy team to beat. But another topic in the NFL playoffs this year is the thing about home field advantage. Usually in the playoffs, home field advantage plays a huge role. And even throughout the regular season, home field advantage can help teams win games and lose games. So what do you think about how impactful home advantage really is this year, or if there isn't really any difference?
There isn't. I mean, there's a difference. It's in all sports. Yes, it's in all sports. This year, especially like I don't really know how to explain it, but like most years, like when there's a sports game and it's like two very evenly matched teams, fans are able to give like that extra boost to like that home team that gets them over the away team, so that they can win the game and move on to the next round. But without that this year, it makes it very complicated for most people, because if there's no fans in the stadium and no one's like there to support you, I mean, you got to make your own momentum,
your own energy.
Yeah, your own energy. There's gonna be closer games this year. It's gonna be very difficult for home teams. I don't think home field advantage really matters if there's no one in the stadium, because it's basically just like the same game for both teams. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah,
Upcoming playoffs.
I agree. The only teams I'd argue that still have their playoff advantage would be those teams that play in inclement weather, such as the Packers and the Bills, and I'm pretty sure Kansas City can get pretty cold.
Oh yeah, it snows over there sometimes.
Yeah, if you got a team who plays in warm weather, Baltimore maybe, or no, Tennessee.
Nah.
Maybe Tennessee.
Like Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers,
the Rams.
Easy.
Oh, Seattle. If Seattle walks into Lambeau, you know how cold they're going to be? Oh,
exactly.
Man. Tampa Bay. And it's just, that's the only edge I could see. The Saints, that's the only edge I could see as a home team. If you're one of those teams that play in cold weather, because as that team, you're used to it. That's where you practice 4 or 5, however many days a week. You're used to that weather, but for those other teams, it's going to get cold, and it can affect games. I think you saw that in the regular season. Near the end of the regular season, the Packers faced off against the Titans, two teams that are both really good, but they played at Lambeau in Green Bay, so it was really, really cold. And the Titans just looked like a whole different football team. They were playing terrible, and it looked like the cold got to them. Of course, the Packers are a really good team, but they ended up winning by like 30, and I did not think it was going to be that much of a blowout.
Oh yeah, it was like 14-40. I think that was
it was not pretty.
Yeah, that was like a week or two ago, but that wasn't pretty at all. But yeah, exactly like you're saying. Like I think the biggest factor is gonna come down to climate, especially for like a team like the Packers. Like, I feel like that could honestly, it could be like that thing that takes them over on all the other teams, because I mean, you look at it, there's not really much more of an advantage that these teams have, especially this season. So now you're gonna have to look to other, it's not supernatural, but other things to like come in and help you, and the
like
Packers
motivate you.
Yeah, and the Packers having that weather is gonna be key, especially when they're gonna get teams like potentially the Saints or the Seahawks, or who else could they get? They could get
Tampa.
Yeah, they could get
I mean, they're
Tampa.
going to have home advantage all up until the Super Bowl, depending on how far they win. Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see, because most of the other top teams in the NFC that are left aren't used to playing in that type of weather. You have the Seahawks, the Rams, other than maybe the Bears if they beat the Saints.
Yeah, that's unlikely, but
yeah, you just look at it and you're just like, or the Washington football team, that's another team that also is kind of used to the cold weather. But Tampa, New Orleans, Seattle, Los Angeles, those are all warm cities, because they're all like, close to like the coast, like the good coast, because the north side, the east side, is pretty cold on that side. But
no, for sure, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how home field advantage plays out in this playoffs. One stat I think from ESPN is that home teams actually have a losing record this season, which is crazy to say the least.
Yeah, Because, again, you would usually think that playing at home gives you, like, that little edge. But this year, there's not really much of an edge.
Breaking all the rules, huh?
Yeah.
So, I think that about wraps it up for our NFL segment. Stay with us for a short little bit. We're going to quickly touch on March Madness after the break.
If doctors told us that we'd made a breakthrough on COVID-19, we would rejoice. We'd feel hope that we could live our lives again, get back to work, back to doing what we want. Well, masks are a ticket to that freedom. We can help protect others and save lives by covering our noses and mouths, which is how the virus mainly spreads. Until there's a vaccine, grab the breakthrough that's already here. When we're out, it's masks on. A message to help keep you safe.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back here on the final segment of Playing Off the City with your host Bakari and my boy Jacob.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for tuning in to the show. You know, we're so thankful for you guys, and we kind of took a little break. You know, most people that are listening to us on Spotify and Apple Music probably even haven't heard our show in a little bit because, you know, we've been sorting things behind the scenes. But thanks for sticking with us, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Before I forget, don't forget to like, share, review, subscribe, all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
Our last segment here is about March Madness, which is happening this year, thank God. I'm so happy after they canceled it last year. You know, everything that kind of went down in the world started in March, and it was sad that they kind of canceled it last minute. But thank God this year we have it. And I'm excited for it. It's going to be starting up in a few weeks here. When I say a few weeks, I mean like 2 months. But, like, I'm still excited about it. And I was reading up on it, and I saw this is the only stipulation that's kind of like, I mean, I understand, but, like, wow. So
Dang.
They said that you have to, every, like first-tier person, which is like the coaches, the players, the other staff, like all those people have to provide 7 consecutive negative results to like be able to attend March Madness.
Yeah.
Or like if you get it, like you have to be like 2 weeks free and negative, asymptomatic, all that stuff. But like you have to provide 7 negative results. So that's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's some serious restriction. I wouldn't say restrictions, but like qualifications. But it shows they're taking the proper steps to be safe. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want, is your athletes to be safe.
Yeah, that's what we all want, you know, for all these guys to just stay safe,
as much as we love watching basketball, the players' health and safety definitely is number one, no question.
For sure. And
but
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I mean, that's the number one priority, and I'm glad that the NCAA is making sure that everyone stays healthy, and it'll be interesting, you know, to see how this like whole plan that they have about like 7 straight negative results and stuff turns out. And you know, I'm looking forward to March Madness. You know, I'm looking forward to it every year.
Yeah, it's one of the most, for me, it's one of the most enjoyable times of the year, March Madness. I love the basketball.
Yeah,
there's so much.
Have to see.
It's so intense. You just got all the dramatics because one loss and you're done. It's just, you can't go wrong with March Madness. So I'm glad to hear they're confirming it for this year.
Yeah, for sure, for real. And we're gonna have to see how it how it even all works out. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like, with no fans.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I think college fans are probably like the best fans.
Oh,
out
for
of like
sure.
most of them. They're just
crazy.
So hyped, so energetic. Like, oh my.
Yeah. I've been to one of the tournament games back a few years ago. When Michigan played Oklahoma State. I'm a Michigan fan, but it was crazy. It's such a great atmosphere. You got the band there. Everyone's going wild. The players are trying their hardest because this is their last shot at their season. You're one loss, you're out. So it's just, that environment's so crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It's a very crazy environment.
It's special.
You go in there, yeah, it's very special. You go in there, you know, you have a bunch of people cheering for you, a bunch of people booing for you. It's fun. But unfortunately this year, you know, we're probably not gonna even have fans at all. So
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be it's kind of sad, but like I'm still happy that we're gonna get the basketball aspect of it, and I mean I'm looking forward to it. You're looking forward to it. You guys are looking forward to it.
Definitely. I mean, it's basketball, bro. Who isn't?
Exactly.
All right. Well, if you didn't know that about March Madness, now you do. It's on for this year, 2020.
2021.
2021.
Second time in the show.
Bro, you realize it's been 2020 for a year. So
Yeah, it's been a long
I'm not
time.
used to it. Give me some time.
Yeah, it's been like 8 days.
I promise by next show, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, thanks guys if you're still here for listening. We appreciate it. My name's Jacob.
My name's Bakari, and thanks for watching.
Have a great day.